Here's an unfinished fall wall. I overestimated how big the fall wall could be. I don't even think that it can remain standing after the initial collapse with this size of a fall wall. But nevertheless, can you tell me what this guy is? Leave it down in the comments below. But let's see how this topples. Hi there, it's time for another domino trick tutorial. Yeah, it's been quite some time, hasn't it? Yes, I've been busy. Busy. And that's my only excuse. But now we've got time, we can make a domino trick tutorial. And thanks, of course, to everyone for helping me reach over 1,000 subscribers. Now, we are going to, we want to do something. So, of course, let's make a tutorial. And we have to start somewhere, so let's start with 2 purple dominoes. Let's place their sides together, forming a square. And you want to orient the square such that the domino faces are downwards and their sides are towards us. Now let's try to get this guy front and centered. Of course, we can never do that the first time. And yep, let's fix that up just like so. Next up, we're going to grab a couple of blue dominoes. You want their sides down, their ends towards you, and place one on either side, left and right, of the purple square. Just like that. Next up, we're going to grab another 2 purple dominoes. We want to form another square. Orient the square the same way as the last, but instead of placing this one directly above the first square, you're actually going to kick this back by a little bit more than half a domino thickness, just like this. Do not exceed more than a domino thickness, that's too much. That would not be good. There we go, something like that. Next up, we're going to grab a couple of green dominoes. You want to form another square, but this time you want to orient it such that the dominoes' ends are downwards and their sides are towards us. And you want to place the square directly above the right blue domino, like so. Just like that. Next up, we're going to grab a yellow domino. You want it face down and towards us. And you want to place it center horizontally. However, in this direction, it's actually going to jut out 1 domino thickness closer to us than this green square right here. Just like that. Next up, we're going to grab a couple of dominoes, 1 pink, 1 red. You want the pink domino on its end with its side towards us, and you want to place it behind the structure. The red domino is going to be on its side with its end towards us, and you want to bridge it between the pink and the yellow domino. Now, to line things up, you want the red and the pink domino's right face to be lined up with the right side of the yellow domino. And you want to bridge the red domino between the pink and yellow such that there is 1 domino thickness of an overlap. Gosh, that's a mouthful. Okay, so we'd have something like this. Of course, this guy doesn't have to be completely straight. You can have it stick out a little bit, but that would make things a little bit less orderly. And we want order, don't we, dominoes? No, they want to make a mess. So what we want to do here is to do something similar on the left side of the yellow domino. Grabbing another pink domino, we're going to place it at the back, standing it up with the side towards you, of course. And you want to bridge the red domino, like so. To complete the symmetry, we're going to grab a couple more green dominoes, make another square, orient it the same way as the other green domino, and place it on the left of the structure, like this. Just like that. Next, we're going to make another purple square. We're going to orient it the same way as the last purple square, and we're going to place it directly above the last purple square as well. Now this is different from the first purple square, in that this purple square is pushed back as well by about half a domino thickness, just a tad bit more than that. Now you might notice some inconsistencies here, so I'm going to pull this right green square closer to us. Let's see, and try to adjust that. Okay. Next up, we're going to introduce a new color. I call it orange. I think some people call it orange, but that's a little bit different. We're going to form a square eventually, but we're actually going to place the dominoes one by one. It's a little bit easier than that. But both of them are going to be side down, face towards us. You want to place one on the yellow domino like such, so that the orange domino is hugging the two green squares, and you want the front face of this orange domino to be lined up with the front end of this yellow domino. So you might notice the yellow domino sticking out a little bit. Let's push it back a bit, just like so. And then of course we're going to complete the square by adding the second orange domino directly above the last, just like that. Okay, just to have a sanity check, we're going to check the difference between, or the distance between this purple square on top and this orange square on the front. Now you want to make sure it is a little bit more than half a domino thickness there. Should be good. So let's take a quick stop. The bottom two purple squares plus these two blue dominoes, that forms the base. Anything above that is a module. So that would be the two green squares at the sides, the purple square on top, this orange square in the front, and this yellow overhanging domino as well. Of course, there are stuff at the back, the two pink dominoes, the two red dominoes, but those are a one-time, well, a two-time thing per tower. We're actually going to be making a FallWall tower, which is supposed to be a fall wall, but we'll get into that. Don't worry. Now, from here on out, you just want to make more and more modules and stack them up high and high and high. And eventually, when you want to finish it off, you're going to do something ever so slightly differently. We'll get to that by making this final module as if we made a really high tower. In fact, we've only done two. But anyways, let's continue and pretend I did not whisper that to you. We're going to make another green square, of course. Place it on the right side, directly above the other green domino. And something to check when you're stacking modules. You want to make sure there is no overlap between this green domino square on the right side versus this orange domino square. So you can see a tiny bit there. The point is we want to make sure this frame does not weigh down or stop this purple or pink or orange square from falling over. Next up, we're going to grab a yellow domino, and as you might expect, place it and orient it directly above the yellow domino. So orient it the same way and place it directly above. On the left side, we're going to make another green square and place it as you might expect, completing the symmetry. And we're going to make another purple square by placing it on the structure. But remember, this is the finishing module. So we're just going to place the purple square lined up perfectly and bridged across the two green squares on the side, like so. Now, other than the last or the topmost module, you want to always make sure the square is pushed back a bit by half a domino thickness. If not, it's not going to work. It will stop prematurely, and that is not good. Not good. So, of course, we're going to place another couple of orange dominoes by placing it like this. Just like that. And there we go. It's a very small example, but this is the FallWall tower. Now, to trigger it, of course, we need more dominoes. So I've got a bunch of pink ones here. We're going to continue the two pink dominoes there. It's a world record, but we need to extend and go farther past the frontiers that we've ever made. So we're going to continue the line from the back, like so. And just so we can see the pink dominoes, we're going to advance them closer towards us. Imagine that, breaking a record in a domino tutorial. This must be what? 2s of dominoes? That's a lot. Okay, the way this trick works is you set off this this rally. It's going to go that way, and then eventually it's going to reach these two pink dominoes at the back. those two, when they fall down, you're gonna have those two red bridging dominoes fall down because there's nothing supporting the other end. Once they fall off this whole structure or the tower, there would be nothing counterweighing or being a counterbalance, or nothing counteracting the orange dominoes on this side, the front end of the yellow domino. So that will cause this whole 3 domino structure to fall down. And once that happens, there's nothing holding up this yellow and orange domino system. So they too will fall. And in a cascading manner, all of those guys will fall over. And hopefully, this purple, blue, and green domino structure will stay standing. Or frame, or whatever you might call it. It'll be standing. Should everything work, this will be viewable by you. Let's hope it does. In 3, 2, 1. Alright, what does it look like in slow motion? Alright, let's see this in large scale. What does that look like? Hey, you say? I hear the word wall in the FallWall tower name. Well, that's because this is supposed to be a wall. You make more than one tower, you place them next to each other, a domino thickness apart from each other, and you can make a wall, or at least make what appears to be a wall, by doing so. So if you continue doing this, making the base, and remember to kick back this top purple square by half a domino thickness, and once you get to this stage, you continue building. Put one more square like that. Then from here is the best time to start continuing the pink rally at the back. So you want to create one behind the two towers, right in between them. Of course, still behind them. The next up, you want to grab another pink domino. Well, you don't have to grab another pink domino. First, you can get an overhanging domino. Place them as you'd expect. And then you can place the next pink rallies at the back. And of course, bridge the red dominoes at the back as well, like so. From there, you can continue on as normal. And you should end up with a wall. So let's see the most minimum wall that you can make, which is a 2x2 wall. Now let's not get into technicalities about what is a wall and what isn't a wall. What is a wall? See, I said don't think about that. This is a bunch of plastic rectangles. How close to a wall can you get? It all depends. It all depends. Okay, so we've got a pink, well, I keep saying pink, this is an orange square. So we're going to continue this guy. We've got 25% complete. That is good. Actually, probably more than 25%, but we'd love it if things were much faster when it turns out we're actually not too far from completion. So let's say that we're 75% complete now. And let's continue on with this tower bit. Something you'll notice here is that as you build taller and taller, it gets really hard to keep things lined up. But try your best. And it should turn out quite nicely. I mentioned you want to try keeping things vertically. If you don't, you can pull off some other interesting tricks too. But we can get more on that later. And just about there, and we've got now a 2x2 pixel grid. We want to trigger the whole thing by starting a pink rally, or continuing the one that's hiding at the back. And of course, very similar to how it is set off, you want to start this rally going that way. When all of those pink dominoes fall over at the back, all the bridging red dominoes will fall over. Nothing no longer is holding down this bottom row of pixels, and when those fall, the next will fall, and so on and so forth. So let's observe this once again in 3, 2, 1. Interesting how they both ended up standing. Let's see that again, but slower. You might notice that while building, that you start to wonder, why are the left and right dominoes supposed to be vertical? You go, hey 22, isn't it the same if you place the squares with the dominoes on their sides? I'm just going to do that. It's going to be a little bit easier to build. Well, actually, no. This is very purposeful, and I have a really good reason for this. The reason why is that bulk dominoes are not quite perfect. They're actually a little bit thinner than you might imagine or want, and I'm not talking about their thinnest or shortest dimension. I'm talking about their width. 2 times the width of a bulk domino is actually a little bit longer than 1 length of a bulk domino. You can see this from this illustration right here, or video clip. If you stack a bunch of dominoes on their ends, and then you stack a bunch of them on their sides, you'll notice that eventually you'll start noticing a discrepancy. This is even more problematic for clean and slippery dominoes, and also brand new dominoes where their corners didn't get bent yet. The other thing to think about is the orange panels, or I might call them pixels if you actually make a picture. The thing is, they stick out if you move the whole thing too much. If you start wobbling the tower while you're placing dominoes, or if you start shifting the yellow dominoes closer towards you, that will actually slowly nudge the pixels at the bottom closer to you and more likely to collapse. When you reach this state, if it goes just a little bit out towards you, don't push them back in. It's more likely that they will lock instead of allow the tower to collapse fully as expected. Anyways, one way to alleviate that or prevent shifting too much is to place the yellow dominoes just a little bit closer to you than it should be, so that when you place that orange pixel and you push or adjust the yellow domino, you just have to push it away from you slightly. That way you don't actually have to push it towards you and cause the other pixels to shift as well. Not good, so that's why we are doing this. One way to make sure that this guy is stable is to kick back that purple square just a little bit more than half a domino thickness. Not more than a full domino thickness. That would be really bad. So you want to make sure it's within that range, but the closer you can get to just a little bit more than half a domino thickness, the better. Also, that will try to alleviate that problem of causing the pixels to shift too much, because there'll be a little bit less of an overhang of the yellow domino. One other thing is just when this first phase of the tower collapses, you're going to notice that the frame itself that's left behind will start to sway. So it's especially important to make sure your tower is as vertical as possible by keeping things lined up nicely. If see this tower on the right, if this guy is leaning back a little bit, it starts to sway a lot on the right side. So that's something you want to prevent, or if you want to actually build that into a trick, you can make this fault a feature by making sure that the tower falls over if you lean it backwards enough. You just have to keep shifting the domino frames back a little bit as you build a new layer or a new module. You might be wondering, hey, the frame takes up so many dominoes and you don't do much. Until, of course, you collapse the whole thing, which itself is very hard. Well, you can actually use any frame or any structure as long as you're able to support the yellow overhanging domino and the orange pixels. Of course, you want to make sure, just like before, that the the thing scales vertically by domino length, not domino width. As mentioned before, there is a discrepancy, and you want to make sure things scale, otherwise you'd get this weird problem, as you can see. Now, a couple other things is we could potentially, depending on the angles, you can potentially make this tower, or this wall, be color changing. So if you angle the camera at a 45-degree angle, the front side will fall off and reveal the frame at the back. So you could do a little bit of color changing there. But that raises another challenge, one that I'm setting out for all of you, because I've spent ages trying to figure it out, and it's possibly not possible. With only dominoes, could you make a picture-changing fall wall? That is, you have a picture, the pixels fall down, revealing another set of pixels that look like a completely different picture. That is one challenge for you out there. And my goal originally was to make a pixel 2 dominoes, forming a square, and then you'd space all the squares out vertically and horizontally by about the domino thickness. I cannot make a picture-changing version of this with the pixels shaped or positioned this way. This is a challenge out for you. I'm not sure. It's an open problem. Another thing, a final thing, is that I haven't found any neat way of connecting this FallWall tower to the breakaway tower or with the rest of the maze wall system. It's going to be interesting. Maybe you can find a way to do it. But for now, this is me, 22, signing off. Thanks for watching.